Yeah, I was just thinking as I came out the gym, um, I had to get some stuff off my heart, I guess, off my chest. As many people probably know, from anything that I've shared on social media and things like that, I created a scholarship fund in memory of my mom. And as it's coming to a close, the application, which actually closes on April 8th, which is my mom's birthday, and my wedding anniversary also. It's all kind of related to what I was thinking is thinking about, first of all, that loss, and kind of like how I internalized it, what it did, outside of, pushing me to create things like the scholarship. It also kind of creates a sense of, like, I guess, not really having fear of a lot of things anymore. Because for a lot of us, one of our greatest fears is, losing a parent or losing somebody very close to us. So when you go through that, especially being young, it kind of creates a shell around you to where, a lot of the things that you might go through in your life, they, either, and I guess it can be two sides, right? They can either rock you to your core, right? And it doesn't have to be anything extremely difficult, or on the flip side is, it can basically kind of turn you like into a beast, and be able to take stuff head on and keep pushing through regardless of how difficult and kind of taxing things are. And for me, I think it was kind of the latter in a lot of situations, just thinking back to just experiences and what that means, because I think what happens again is you begin to think more so toward the future, right? Having foresight. And one of the things that my father told me when I was in college was, and I actually got it tattooed, like, I don't know if you can see it all right here. But he said, you can't live in the past because the past won't let you live. And that settled with me pretty deeply. Just thinking about, the trials and tribulations that everybody's going to have. It's ultimately how you come out of it and how you respond. And I once heard, I think it was a good friend of mine that quoted actually a book that they read. I think it was like the Four Agreements or something like that. It said, like, it may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility. And the way that I took that was, things are going to happen that are out of your control, but it's all in the way that you respond. Get knocked down 7 times, get up 8, that type of idea. And I think for me, that's just kind of what it's been. I think that's true for a lot of people. And really, just considering, even mentally, how we internalize and take things in. In my particular case, of course, being a man, but then really, adding that layer of being a black man, there's a lot of stigma around, mental health and those types of awarenesses. And, there's a lot to kind of unpack. And even being, an educator and working in the school system and seeing it firsthand, even within my own family, just how things really can run rampant, right, when not addressed. And then even looking at how we kind of just maneuver in space and time. And, we can get to a point where we basically act like nothing bothers us. Where again, going through the loss of my mom early on and becoming kind of a harder outer shell, sometimes I guess kind of difficult to read in some instances, and a lot not necessarily as forthcoming with feelings and that type of thing. Those things become somewhat of like your armor. And like anything, you can get chinks in your armor, right? Like you can go through things and you can kind of get to a point where there is somewhat of a breakdown. And I think a lot of what happens ultimately is that those things going to end up kind of manifesting in one of two ways. One is like the explosion, where you basically are lashing out or acting out in terms of your behavior, what you do. And we see that a lot with, a lot of our students and our young, children, where they, will have like an outburst or whatever. And then you also have on the opposite side of that, the implosion, where a lot of people who are extremely quiet or reserved to themselves, kind of like what I've always been, those people tend to actually, break down from within, which is really tough. It hurts, to be completely honest. And it's a point where, there's kind of no way to get away from it or to break away because it's within you. You can't escape yourself. So just really thinking about consideration for that, and what we do on a regular basis and how we interact with people, especially young people, is something that I think is really overlooked often, in a lot of contexts. Whether that's with our children in schools, or our own children, or even just within ourselves and our peers, and coworkers and things like that. So just really thinking about the ramifications of how we interact, how we talk to people, how we address people. Our body languages and things like that are really important, and we may not necessarily know or recognize that other people pick up on those things, but they do, and it does matter to an extent, and not necessarily everybody is as resilient, in response to that. So yeah, just a lot of thoughts and things that I wanted to really think, just kind of get out and share, with kind of things coming to a close with the scholarship again, and really thinking about that legacy and what my mom meant, and ultimately what that experience, her being here, up until I was 10 years old, and then losing her when she was only 33, and ultimately what that looked like for not only myself, but thinking about my siblings, and the ripple effect that type of trauma and exposure to difficulty, right, and adversity can have on people as they progress, and kind of grow into whoever it is that they're going to be. But peace and love to everybody. Just wanted to say that. Have a wonderful day.